Welcome to Garden Delights. I'm Susan Howington, Family Consumer Science Agent with the Henry County Cooperative Extension, partnership with the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension. Today we're going to talk about okra. We're going to hear from Frank Hancock, our Agriculture and Natural Resource Agent, and he's going to talk more about okra and our garden in the back that has okra. So we'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights. Welcome back to Garden Delights. Today we're talking about okra, and we'll hear from Frank, and he's going to talk more about that okra in our garden. But let's talk about this okra. This is the okra from our garden in our office, and this is called burgundy okra. And you know, we found out from my husband and I that there's so many varieties of okra out there. So really, you have so many choices. It's really your preference as far as what you want to choose. But this year in our garden in our office, we planted this burgundy okra, which I really like the way it looks, and it'll cook up. Sometimes it'll turn more of a green color when you cook it. And then in our yard, as far as our garden, my husband and I, we grew what we call baby Bubba, and what we like about it is we like it because it doesn't grow as high, and I can get out there and pick it, because when it grows really high, I'm up there trying to really try to stretch to get to the pod. So that's the reason why we changed this year and grew this baby Bubba, which we really like also. But okra is so good for you. It is loaded with vitamin A and C. It also has great fiber, and it has potassium. You're going to get so many good nutrients from this okra. So just think about that when you're eating it. About 7 pods on the average is about 25 calories. Now, as far as selection, when you're looking for okra, and we've had a hard time this summer with our okra with the weather not cooperating with the rain, so you may have to water it to keep it going. But okra, you want to look for firm pods, shiny, good green, and of course this is burgundy color. You don't want to see any spots. I will tell you that when you're picking it, try to get it in the 3 to 4 inch range. And the reason why you want to do that is because the bigger it gets and the longer it gets, depending on the type of okra, I should say that, it gets really stringy and tough. And you could call it woody, and it's very hard to cut. And when it's hard to cut, you might as well say discard that one. So when you're looking for that part of it, look for that part, because that's really important. Now, storage, as far as in your refrigerator, you need to pick it, and then you need to put it in your refrigerator, and it'll store in your refrigerator for about 3 days. After that, you need to decide pretty quick how you're going to prepare that okra. Now, we're going to do a baked okra today. A lot of times I will grill this okra on the grill. And when I grew up, it was all fried okra, or some people would put it into peas and other things as far as making more of a boiled okra. And I wasn't really crazy about that. I always loved that fried okra. But it will stay in your refrigerator for about 3 days. The awesome thing about okra is it will freeze very well. So you can freeze it. So in 3 days, if you hadn't decided what you wanted to, freeze it. Then bring it back out in those cold winter months, and then eat it then, and you'll know it's really fresh because it came out of your own garden. And okra is really in the season all the way to October now, and so this is the best time to buy it if you want to freeze some up, because it's going to be in their peak season between May and October. So look at those dates too as far as the months go to try to pick your okra. So when we come back, we're going to hear from Frank. He's going to talk about our garden in the back and our okra and how well it's doing. And then we'll come back and also do our baked okra. So we'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights.
Okay, today we're going to talk a little bit about okra. We talked about okra a couple of years ago. Not a whole lot's changed, but we just thought we'd bring you up to date on growing okra. Okra is a tropical plant. It's akin to cotton, but it likes to grow in warm soil. So it's not one of these plants that you're generally going to plant on Good Friday with the rest of your vegetables. You need to wait on over into May before the soil needs to warm up about 65 degrees at the 4-inch depth before you're going to plant okra. It likes a pH in the 6 to 6.5 range. It can grow on either side of that number, but in keeping with the rest of our vegetable garden, we keep it in the 6 to 6.5 range. You'll find that out by doing a soil test. We'll put down a little bit of 10-10-10 in the bed before we plant it, and then we'll come back and side dress it a couple of times when it's about 6-8 inches tall, just a little handful of 10-10-10 sprinkled beside the plant. And then again, as it gets up to knee high, whatever. This particular patch of okra right here has been side dressed twice since we planted it. This is burgundy okra. I never have grown any burgundy okra before, but I've been real pleased with it. We've really done nothing to it. It just sat out here. We planted it in a little small bed that most any homeowner can plant this patch of okra, and it makes a right pretty shrub if you look at the flowers and all when it flowers. Okra flowers for one day. Then that flower turns into an okra pod. The okra in this patch right here was completely cut out 2 days ago. So this will be the third day. And you can see the kind of growth that has come back in here from having no okra in this little patch. This little patch right here, it was planted thick enough so that we're kind of shading out our weeds. We'll get a little closer up here where you can look down in here and see that weeds are not an issue, but it grows all season, so weeds have got to be controlled somehow. In this case, it's controlling the weeds for us. It does grow fast. You do have to cut it. If you don't cut it, it'll quit growing. Its goal is to make seed for next year. So if you let seed stay on here, it'll just quit producing okra because it'll be finished its job. So you keep taking it off and it keeps flowering, it keeps producing more. And then that'll go on right on up till frost or till you get tired of picking it. But this little patch is producing enough okra that a family of 4 could have okra, a good meal of okra, at least once a week out of this small patch right here. Obviously not big enough to put in the freezer, but then that's what the farmer's market's for. So you can come out to the farmer's market and get some okra to freeze. Let's just go through here and take a look. This year, for whatever reason, insects have not been a problem. Okra can have, if you plant it when the soil's too cold, you can get into some damping off disease. It has insect pests that'll bother it. Sometimes you'll see one, I don't have an example here today, but sometimes you'll see one that curls way over, and it's usually because an insect has taken a bite out of it or pierced it, and the outside keeps growing, the inside quits growing, and I get questions about that sometimes, why is my okra curled over? And it's usually insects. Now, unlike some of your other okra, like Clemson spineless, if you get one that's this big, that's your normal kind of okra, it'll be so tough that you're gonna throw it away. But this grows so fast that even these in this category are still good to eat. They eat really well. They don't get grainy like some of the other okras do. So, and there's probably 1 or 2 in here gonna have to be thrown away once we start looking at them. Ideally, you'd like to get them when they're about this size, about 4 inches long. You'd have to come out here every single day to keep getting them that way. But you can just see in 3 days how much okra has grown out here in this little patch that we'll be ready to go eat it here before long. In fact, I think Susan's got some of it in there in the kitchen, and and we'll sort through. You know, some of it may be a little bit tough. And for the most part, it is burgundy. You'll see a green pod in here every once in a while that didn't turn. I saw one over here for whatever reason. I'm not going to try to explain that to you, but that one's green. The rest of them are burgundy. And let me just go through here and show you what comes out of this little small bed of okra. And sometimes we don't find it all. Don't want to spend too much time, but you can't spend too much. The other thing about this, okra makes me itch, but for some reason this burgundy okra doesn't seem to bother me. There's a couple that those might be on the marginal side, but most of them are going to be good. So just in 2 days, I'm finding enough okra right here. Let me just get it all. I'll show it all to you while we're doing it. I got to cut it all anyway so it'll keep producing. I say I'm gonna get it all. This camera will probably show you some I'm missing, but the other thing about planting it in a bed like this, just for your home garden, is I don't have to get in there and walk all through it. I just walk around the bed, reach over and cut the okra. And I'm not seeing any more right this minute. I'm sure there's another one hiding from me here. But you can see that I'm picking up. My wife and I can have okra tonight. We can have okra 2 days from now because it'll look just like this in 2 days. So okra's a good crop. Burgundy okra makes a nice plant for the flower bed, and you can go out there and eat it. The biggest thing about okra, you have to stay after it. You got to cut it, and you got to keep it cut so that it'll keep producing. And that's about all I know about okra. We can take a look here at how the weeds in this bed are controlled. And I think we're going to go in, and Susan's going to have some okra for us to eat here in just a minute.
Welcome back to Garden Delights. Today we're talking about okra, and I have 2 different types of okra that we're going to be using for this baked okra, and you can grill this okra also. We have our burgundy okra that Frank has grown in our back of our garden in our office, and then we also have the okra from our garden, which is the baby Bubba. And so I'm going to be baking both of these, and it's really, really simple. But before you do it, you need to wash your okra. So all this has been washed. And then what you want to do is you want to make sure you're going to chop your okra. When you cut it off, you usually have a little bit of the end. And so what we're trying to do is to take most of that end off, because some people that I know will eat this okra and won't eat the whole piece. So we want to take most of the butt end part off. So I'm just going to cut these off. And so what you're looking for is just a flat look as far as that goes, as far as that surface. So I cut off a pretty good bit of the end of that okra, and I'm going to do one more piece. And then that's all you need to do to get this ready to go into the baking part of it. So once you get your okra, you're going to use a spray, a cooking spray. And so what we're going to do is put the cooking spray on top of tin foil, because you know me, I'm trying to find the easy way out to clean and not have to do too much. So I'm just going to kind of spray my spoil a little bit because I want to make sure it's going to be good. And what I'm going to do is I am going to line my okra up, and I am going to put all the burgundy okra on one side, and I'm going to put all the baby bubba on the other side, just to kind of give you an idea of how it bakes and the color it changes when it's baking. Also, you can see this is the burgundy okra right here, and as it starts growing, the small pod, it kind of starts off in a green color, as you can see, and the other side of it has the burgundy color. So this is kind of fascinating to see how it kind of does its thing on growing, and then it'll turn more of that purple color as it matures and gets a little bit longer in the pod. So that's pretty neat to me, the way it starts off. So I'm going to make sure I put it on the right side of the pan. So we're just going to line them. All these have been cut and are ready to go. So I'm just going to keep lining. This one may be a little bit too long as far as what I was talking about, that stringy, but I'm going to try it anyway just to see how it turns out. And you know, the rain has a lot to do with okra and how well it produces, so you may have to water your okra, but the neat thing is you can get it all the way into the fall part until we probably get a really heavy frost. Now in the recipe it's going to say you need about 14 pods to make this, but I have more than 14 pods because I want to make sure that I have enough for Frank and I and to share with anybody else that might like to taste it too. So I've lined it up, and you can see, I'm going to try to get that last piece. So here's the okra lined up. I've got it sprayed with a little bit of cooking spray, and the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the top of the okra and you're going to spray it with a little bit of cooking spray also, really light. Now this is exactly how I would do if I was going to put it into the grill also. I would do the same thing, and then I'd lay it on top of the grill. Oh, I've got to add these two pieces too. Can't leave any out. I absolutely love okra this way, and because it's healthier for you, and it's just a great way. My husband and I have decided that this is our French fries. When we eat our hamburgers, we eat this instead of our potatoes, and that way we're getting all these good nutrients and good fiber in our diet also. So the last step you're going to need to do, and this is called garlic pepper season, and we're going to put that on top of it. So we're going to give it just a little bit, and by putting that cooking spray on top of the okra, it does help the season stick to the top of the okra. And you don't need a whole lot, but just enough to season it up is all you're trying to do. Okay, so that is it. That's how easy it is. So when you're in a hurry and you want something good, this is the way to go. So what you're going to do is put this in your oven between 375 and 400, depending on your oven and how fast you want to cook it. And then you're going to put it in there for about 15 to 20 minutes, and because you're going to cook it, and it's going to shrink down a little bit because you're cooking it. The good thing is you won't have that slimy part, which is that mucilage that's in the okra that makes that slimy part. So it kind of draws out some of that part of it when you bake it, in the same way on the grill, and it's really tasty. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven, and we'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights. Welcome back to Garden Delights. Frank, we're going to have baked okra, but I've got to get it out of the oven, so give me a chance to get it out.
Of the oven. I've been waiting all day to have some baked okra.
All right.
So we can wait until it gets here. It's my favorite part of the show.
Oh, yes. It's going to be good. Maybe a little warm, but it's going to be good.
It looks good.
All right, so let me tell you what we did. This is baby bubba from our garden. This is from your garden area, which is your burgundy okra. Okay. So we're going to try both of them.
All right.
So here we go. Oh, that was hot. I touched that pan. I'm going to give you a couple of those.
That happens sometimes, I've noticed, when you put things in the oven.
Yeah, it's hot, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to get me a couple. Now, you can either cut it or you can eat it with your fingers, but I think it's going to be...
I think I want to eat it with my fingers.
Okay.
It just looks like it.
Is it going to be hot?
It's warm.
It's warm. I had a feeling.
Mm-hmm. It's good.
I'm going to see if I can just cut my end off. Now, I tell you, my husband and my son, they're going to eat the whole thing. But I'm going to see if I can cut it, but I don't know if I can cut it. It's so hot.
I'm going to eat the whole thing, too.
You're going to eat the whole thing, too? Okay, we'll let you do that.
End's not quite as good as the rest of it. But
no, but some people just like to eat the whole thing.
That's good.
That is good.
It's right straight out of the garden into the pan.
It is. I'm going to try one with the whole thing now, since this one's really tiny. It's really good. Makes you think you're almost eating a little bit of fried okra, but eating it the healthy way, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. And, you know, we've talked about okra before. And, you know, we talked about Delta University and okra's their mascot. We also talked about the Oklahoma Rocket Association and all that. Well, we couldn't do all that again. So I've been thinking about okra and what you do with okra when it gets too long. You know, you have to cut okra every other day.
You do.
Or it'll get away from you. And a lot of people just kind of get tired of doing that, and they don't go out there every other day. Next thing you know, they got some long okra. So I've got the solution.
To the long okra.
To the long okra.
All right.
Move my plate right here out of our way. So, for the long okra, edible jewelry.
I like it.
Huh? Huh?
And you know, you did good. It's even red with your shirt.
That's right. So, and if you go to Hawaii and you're flying on a plane, you know, they come out and put those flowers around your neck and welcome you to Hawaii.
Uh-huh.
We can do this in McDonough.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Go down to the bus stop, and when the people get off the bus, we can take this and say, welcome to McDonough.
I love it.
I'm also working on some matching earrings. My ears are not pierced, so I can't use them right now, but we'll have some matching earrings.
There you go.
It will probably become famous. We'll probably be having Okra Day on the square before this is over with.
I think so.
So, you see.
What an awesome idea.
Welcome to McDonough.
Thank you so much, Frank.
And now you know what to do with your okra when it gets too long.
Sounds really good.
All right.
Thank you. Check out the website for the recipe. It is yummy. We'll see you back, Frank and I will, next time on Garden Delights.